You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast. The World Cup is continuing, and we are here to review the latest games because today, oh boy, it was a game for the ages this morning. Why they had to make that the first one of the day, starting at 5:30 a.m. UK time, is beyond me because it was certainly one to wake up for. I'm Max O'Brown, and I'm joined this evening by Ross Legg from the office to talk us through all of the fun. How are you doing, Ross?
Oh, well, it's a tough day for Ross Legg, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan, as fans of the podcast will know. Thomas Frank has been sacked because Spurs are going to get relegated. So I think probably a fair sacking in retrospect. And then England have been humbled, as kind of typically happens, it feels like. I always kind of thought that West Indies always have the rub of the green over England in T20s. But I think it's just slightly in England's favour on the games. But a hammering, really. 30 runs in T20 is no slouching defeat, right? So England, unfortunately, flattering to deceive under Harry Brooks' stewardship. So big questions to be answered, Max.
I thought England had won like 7 of the last 8 or something against the West Indies. Phil Salt had 300s against the West Indies in T20s. So yeah, I think we would have backed England going into it, but hey, that was not to be. But we'll get to that shortly. First of all, the usual, please to like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, whatever podcast listening app you choose to use. Hit the buttons, follow us, keep up to date with all of the content and all of the live shows that we are doing throughout the World Cup. We don't necessarily know when they're going to be because we're all very busy people. So if you subscribe, then you'll find out as soon as we start randomly on a Wednesday afternoon doing a live show without telling you. So here's what we'll do. We'll do England-West Indies. We'll go into that because that's just finished, nice and fresh in the mind. And then we'll get to the meat and drink of South Africa against Afghanistan and what a doozy that was. And then I guess we will round off all of the other action that we've seen over the last few days. There's a few things to wrap up, but the big stuff happened today. The last 2 days have been fairly standard, right? Processions in the directions that one would expect, but today was big. So let's get going. West Indies v England, and Harry Brook won the toss, elected to bowl based on the statistics of chasing at the ground. As he said, the West Indies said they would have bowled as well had they won the toss. So a good one to win, perhaps, and especially good when England managed to remove both Brandon King and Shai Hope in the opening 2 overs, a wicket apiece for Archer and Curran to leave the West Indies 8 for 2, and it was looking a bit dicey for the West Indies, but they fought back admirably in those middle overs, and it was Shafane Rutherford who did most of the damage, 76 off 42. He piled on, taking England's bowlers to the cleaners. Adil Rashid, alone in there, 2 for 16 off of his 4 overs, showing everyone how it's done. And perhaps, Ross, a sign of things to come in England's innings. But everyone else got roundly spanked around the park, and 196 for 6 is what the West Indies ended on. England got off to a pretty decent start. Phil Salt, 30 off 14, took Jason Holder down for 24 in a single over. And you thought England were up and running and it was going to be a good old-fashioned England boisterous chase. But then the spin came, and the spin did for England. Chewed them up in the middle overs. Gudakesh Motier was the star, 3 for 33 from his 4 overs, but the others all did a job. The return of Roston Chase into the West Indies side, Akil Hussain as well. They all did the business, and England crumbled with only Sam Curran's 43 off 30 balls standing out in the middle order of England's innings as anything close to what you might want when you're chasing 196. And it all petered out. 166 all out. A 30-run defeat, as you said, Ross, and West Indies taking charge of the group. What did you make of it?
Just as it should be, if I'm perfectly honest. Who doesn't like West Indies? I think what you're probably going to find is probably quite a lot of emotional reactionary stuff to this defeat. And like, you could play this game 10 times in a row, and actually it's going to be relatively, probably even in England's favour. Like if you take the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, they'd probably say actually England 6 and West Indies 4 would probably be about fair, right, for this. But yeah, like sometimes it just doesn't come off. T20 is a high variance game. There is kind of major considerations for that. I do think Harry Brook got some bits wrong for it, and we said going into this that England's batting should kind of be sufficient. They're gonna play in one style. They're not really going to kind of knock things around. They're going to just go for it. There are some bits where you kind of fall into the Jonathan Agnew camp of like, they want them to smash it, but they also should knock it around a little bit in the middle overs. And in some cases, case in point, Tom Banton, for example, there is kind of a question mark around, well, could you actually just spend a little bit of time? You're up at the rate pretty much. There is some bits just to work through. It's kind of going to be okay. But
the reaction review, of course, is that we should just murder Tom Banton because he's no good, clearly.
But he's supposed to be one of the better players against spin, all that kind of stuff. But I think England's position, they obviously took those wickets up front. I think it was probably poor batting rather than good bowling, I think is probably how I'd kind of read the situation. And I'm just still not sure. Everyone kind of goes, oh, Harry Brook is a very astute kind of cricketer. Fine, we can buy into that. But for the bowling choices at specific times, I don't think Will Jacks should be bowling in the power play. Like, I think the majority of England fans would probably sit there and be like, even if there's a left-hander in there, is he really the person that we kind of want in this space? But unfortunately, England haven't really got the makeup of the bowlers to do that. Liam Dawson has done actually a good job over his career of bowling in any phase, really, and is a much better bowler than Will Jacks. So I was surprised to see Dawson only have 3 overs. Will Jacks going to get the nod ahead of him, regardless of matchups or anything like that. I just think sometimes, like, just keep it simple, stupid, and that should be the moniker that we go in with talking about Harry Brook's captaincy, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, it's a fair challenge. I think there was the plan wasn't there, for Liam Dawson to bowl the second over, and then they took that wicket and Hetmeyer came in and they went to Sam Curran instead. He did take that wicket, but yeah, then you ended up with Will Jacks bowling at Shimron Hetmeyer. I don't know
and
why.
He's a good player, Hetmeyer. Like there's a point there. It's just like just because he bowls a bit of off spin doesn't matter. Yeah, the matchup thing I'm still not entirely convinced of, Max, if I'm perfectly honest, but frustrating for England, and then they didn't have the control, so they lost the control from there. As you said, there was a fantastic innings. Like, don't take it away from Shafane Rutherford. Absolutely blitzed it, 7 sixes in his innings, and England didn't seem to have much of an answer. And what the West Indies were really good at doing in the batting front is batting in those partnerships, which England have struggled to do like for quite a while now. Roston Chase is a perennial thorn in England's side, but here he did his job perfectly. And people can turn around and say, "Oh, actually, 34 of 29 balls, like he's not going anywhere." Like the rotation and working through, and especially what kind of Powell and Holder did, like gave Rutherford the support and structure that he needed to form that innings, and that is a match-winning innings. Overall, England probably would have ended up chasing kind of 175, 180, but that extra scoreboard pressure and the extra run rate to get to 196 makes it a different kettle of fish. So, yeah, a really strong performance with from the batting side of the West Indies there.
Yeah, no, they were good. I mean, they didn't panic when they lost the early wickets, and they put the pressure back on England's bowlers pretty quickly in that sort of 8 for 2. It's quite easy to go into your shell, isn't it, in the power play and try and make it through without much further damage. But Shimron Hetmeyer in his new role at 3, it was a bit of a counter punch, wasn't it? 23 off 12, and yeah, Shafane Rutherford following, and it ended. West Indies ended the power play in not too bad a position despite the wickets, and they kicked on. So I think you have to give them a lot of credit for the way they went about the innings as well after the early wickets. They didn't shy away from it, and they punished England when they needed to. It looked like a decent deck to bat on as well, and they made the most of that. And Roston Chase, you mentioned, someone they brought into the side for this game. They They took Matthew Ford out, brought Ross and Chase in.
He's England's boogeyman. That's why. Yeah, in football, you have like a bogey team, don't you? Like literally, in this case, like the whole of the England batting lineup is Ross and Chase's bunny. So
I don't understand why. I watch him play cricket.
He doesn't turn the ball.
I watch him
He literally just bowls slow dobbers that go straight. Like,
I say he's like that guy when you play fourth 11 cricket, and there's always a silver-haired 70-year-old who's played his entire life and has 1,000 career wickets and just lobs it up. It's that Boston Chase is that.
Can the operator bracket? Is Ross and Chase now in the canny operator bracket?
Canny operator, yeah, you know. Changes of pace, whatever it is. It's there's obviously something there, something about it.
The reflection off of the polished head, perhaps.
Yeah, could be. But I mean, I think it highlights something quite interesting about the West Indies compared to England. Very easy to read things into one game, but they brought Ross and Chase in because they wanted to do something a bit different with their side. They had clearly a solid game plan. I don't think it's a secret game plan that anyone's, any genius has come up with against England, which is to bowl loads of spin at them in the middle overs because they might crumble in a heat. It's happened before. It's happened again. But they did, they dropped a seamer. They brought in a spinner. It worked. It was the plan. Whereas, England, they dropped Luke Wood and they brought in Jamie Overton, ostensibly to lengthen the batting lineup. But I don't feel with England's bowling lineup, they have as much of an idea. We talk about it a lot, the kind of the role clarity and the identity of what you want to do with your team. I don't feel like England's bowling attack has that so much. I feel like, Adil Rashid, what you want to do with him, you bowl him for 4 overs in the middle and he's excellent. That speaks for itself. But the rest of it, like you say, like Will Jacks thrown into the power play, pick some random pacers and bowl them at whenever. I don't feel like England have got as much of a plan how they want to go about a bowling innings and what they want to use their bowlers to do. Like Luke Wood and Jamie Overton are quite different. But it feels like they just say, well, you're a guy who bowls high 80s, so you're interchangeable. Well, they don't really think about it that much.
They're two people, Max, with quite different beauty regiments, is the way I wish I'd see it. There's a lot that goes into looking after that kind of that complexion and the hairstyle of Luke Wood, and then you've got Jamie Overton. So it's quite a mix up there. So you can say, but I agree, Max, that England just haven't got that formula quite right. And we talked about it for a while, that you can't just do everything based upon vibes. You can't do it's fun. It works sometimes, but you just can't do everything of it. And I think on this occasion, England, they kind of said, "Oh, we've got a left-hander." I would be very, very surprised if Hetmeyer actually has a drastically worse batting record against right arm off spin.
Like, I just looked it up in T20, domestic T20. He averages 34.5, but the strike rate is 108.
Okay,
so it is actually there is actually a difference there, but it's not like you're likely going to get a wicket. It's just he doesn't score as quickly. But if it's the power play and you don't have as many people on the boundary, maybe he does score as quickly.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating, but overall, I think West Indies, as you said, Max, have a lot of credit to be gained from this. They just came into it, were far more astute with their bowling decisions. They batted in partnerships that we talked about. I think they fielded pretty bloody well also. And as you say, Max, they just had a proper game plan. So they've got 12 overs out of kind of all of their spinners. On a deck that clearly favours spinners, and you compare that to the 9 that England have bowled between theirs. So it's a big difference. Clearly, the better game plan, and a surprise really. If you think back to the Sri Lanka series just before this, England ended up bowling 5 or 6 spinners in kind of some of those innings, and it's kind of immediately gone out the window. So it's a bit confusing on that front. So.
England,
deserved victory for the Indies.
Yeah, England culpable with the bat as well. Do you think? I mean, obviously West Indies bowled brilliantly with their spinners, but do you think they?
There's a little bit of there's a little bit around. Oh, we can just go out and hit loads of sixes, and we think it's quite kind of what we're doing. There still is a part of you have to put your innings together, and some of the dismissals, you're just like, look, if Dan Weston was on the podcast, he said, you're going to live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. But England were, 80 off of the first 7 overs, I think it was. Like, before Banton gets out, like, you've got enough time there to take a couple of overs. You literally have enough time to be like, and that doesn't mean you just knock around kind of 1s and 2s, but there is a point there where you don't have to go hell for leather for it. And then you can literally just go, well, we've now got to a position at 9 overs or 10 overs where the rate is still manageable, but we've got kind of 6 wickets in hand, 7 wickets in hand. And I just think that game management, England should know better for. A lot of these players have got an awful lot of franchise cricket experience. And it's not all for the likes of, say, Birmingham Phoenix, who love to go hell for leather on this kind of stuff. And whilst it's fun, there is a bit to just putting your big boy pants on and playing like the game to win it. So how my opinions have changed from kind of when we started the podcast all the way through to now. The maturity is
look at you. You're
palpable.
in your old age. Yeah. I mean, I think England missed out on a few occasions as well. I think I counted 3 or 4 like really rank full tosses that ended up going for 1 that, you're thinking that needs to be planted into the stands. And that makes a difference as well. That changes the complexion of those middle overs. But I think, a lot of credit to the West Indies. And the ball that Motier bowled to get rid of Jacob Bethel as well was top. That was absolutely top notch. So, well done, the West Indies. They were good. We knew that they had it in them, and they proved it. So, they are in cruise control in the group. And England's net run rate's looking a bit iffy. So if, Nepal could maybe squeak a cheeky win against the West Indies, maybe England are in a bit of danger. Do you think England are in danger, or is it all fine?
Well, no, I think that England were always going to lose a game in the group stage. It kind of seemingly happens all the time. It's far less embarrassing losing to West Indies than it is to Nepal, but that was kind of a bit close for comfort as well. I think England wanted from Jamie Overton what West Indies got out of Jason Holder today, but there is a lot riding on the Overton, and I'm still not sure if he's really up for the international standard.
I think he's a classic case of too good for county cricket, not good enough for international cricket. But it is what it is. England have deservedly lost. West Indies have deservedly won, and that's what it is. But the fun of games, Max, is that England weren't the only team to lose today, were they? There was 2 others. There were 2 others, and England probably won't be feeling quite as bad about their defeat as the poor Afghans this morning, because my God. How do we pick the bones out of this? I will try and summarize it as best I can. But it's
Jonathan Trott's lost twice today. That's what he's done.
Yeah. All right. South Africa, Afghanistan this morning. South Africa batted first, and they got off to an absolute flyer. Ryan Rickleton, 61 of 28. Quinton de Kock, 59. They were cruising, 126 for 1. Going at about 10 and over before Quinton de Kock fell. And then it all kind of ground to a halt, which isn't entirely their own fault, because, you've got to deal with people like Rashid Khan bowling in those middle overs. But they left a few out there, I think, did South Africa. Tavok Brevis only going at just, a little bit more than 1 a ball. David Miller not quite finishing things off as he might have wanted to, and that all meant that South Africa ended 187 for 6, which
looked Afghanistan a sniff. That's a sniff.
It looked in danger, particularly with Ramla Gurbaz doing his usual 84 or 42. He led the charge as well, one would expect from Afghanistan, but all around him, everyone was falling to pieces. 2 ducks in that top 4. Darwish Rasuli, 15 off 18. There was no one there to support him, and it looked like it was going to be all over for Afghanistan, and they were going to fall short. But then Rashid Khan came to the crease. We've seen him do it before in the IPL, and he kept things going. And then he fell, and Asmatullah Omarzai fell, and you thought, okay, now South Africa have got it wrapped up. And then who was this? Noor Ahmed strides out and hits his first ball for 6 over long on. I didn't know he could do that.
Dropped from the first game.
Yeah, if you remember. I didn't know he had that in his locker, but he sure did. And it came to the final over with Afghanistan needing what was it they needed off the final over, like 11 or so, I think. Or no, it was 13, wasn't it? It was 13 they needed off the final over. And Kahisa Rabada to bowl it at Noor Ahmed and Fazal Haq Faruqi. You thought probably going to be all right, isn't it? Unfortunately, that very quickly turned into 10 off of 6 balls, thanks to 2 no balls and a wide. 10 off 6 with 2 free hits. That changes the complexion slightly. Noor Ahmed, he got them there, and he also basically won them the game. Unfortunately, Fazal Haq Faruqi forgot about the bit where he had to run back to the bowler's end in time to not be run out, and he was run out with the scores level. Failed to complete the 2 with 2 balls to go, and that meant it went to a super over. And what a super over it was, Ross.
That bit there, but that bit there, Max, you were just like, what are you like? We talked on the preview show. Afghanistan, if they just do the basics well, they will get through this group. That is basics for it, right? And I'll come on to another.
He didn't even dive.
You're just like, what are you doing? They had the game won. But Max, talk through what happened in the super over.
Yes,
super over 1.
Super over number 1. Of course, so Afghanistan, they batted first. They sent out Asmatullah Omarzai and Ramlan Gurbaz, which I think made a lot of sense because they're probably their best batters. Lungi Ngidi was the man to bowl it, and it didn't go very well because Omarzai bashed 2 4s and a 6, and Afghanistan racked up 17 off the super over, which is that's a good score. That's a good score for a super over. Let me tell you. And it didn't look like the South Africans were going to do enough because first ball was a single, then a 6 to Devalt Brevis, and you thought, okay, he's in. This is gonna go. Next ball, pace off, and Brevis succumbs. Caught. A 4 follows and then a dot, and that means it's 6 off the last ball to tie. So obviously what happens, it's a full toss. It's 6 because Afghanistan really don't want to win this game. Faruqi,
it's Faruqi again.
He's done it again. So that takes us to super over number 2, and this time South Africa got the opportunity to go first. And for some reason, they didn't bowl Rashid Khan, their best bowler. They bowled Asmatullah. And
but this one didn't make any sense to me. Why is Noor Ahmed or Rashid Khan not bowling? Why are they giving it to Omarzai? Like, surely, Omarzai's fine, but he's not Rashid Khan or Noor Ahmed.
I can understand Faruqi, right? Because he's your premier pacer. You do default to going with the pace, don't you? Because that's
even Majib. I'd rather bowl Majib. Omarzai is quite low down on this. List.
I'd have him quite low on the depth chart for this, but yeah. And then so it was Tristan Stubbs again, off the back of his last ball 6, and he hits the first ball for 6, and a couple of balls later, nothing doing, 1-2, and then David Miller joins the party, 6-6-2, 23 off of the super over, and yeah, there was no chance. They were never going to do that, especially when, for some reason, Ross, they sent out Mohammed Nabi.
Second division Sussex player.
So the guy,
he's about 50 years old.
You know the guy that did the first super over and hit 16 off 5? No. Don't want him. We want Mohammed Nabi. They sent him out. First ball facing Maharaj, swing and a miss. Then he was out. And then Gurbaz turns up.
Quite good, Gurbaz.
He hits the next ball for 6. And then he hits the next ball for 6. And then he hits the next ball for 6. And suddenly you're thinking, they're not going to do this. Surely not. One ball, 6. Is he gonna emulate Tristan Stubbs? Maharaj fires a wide one in. 5 off 1. Is it going to be another super over? Are they going to hit a 4 and tie it? No, he was out. And Afghanistan lost somehow. So they lost that game 5 times. So when you talk about doing the basics, it's a whole lot more to it than just doing the basics.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how you try and pick the bones out of that or work out what was going on. But
it was bottlers in chief, wasn't it? In South Africa versus kind of new bottlers on the block. That's kind of what we need to see this as, right? So it was kind of who could choke just the least, who could survive that choke, and luckily for South Africa, they squeak through, and it pretty much means Afghanistan are out of the competition, right? They've lost to New Zealand, they've lost to South Africa now, and it's disappointing because they are entertaining, but again, lads, just keep the basics. Like, why are you trying to do like all these stupid things? And what also really frustrated me in Afghanistan's first super over. They hit a single off the last ball. Why did they not try and run 2? This is what I didn't understand. It really frustrates me. The last, especially in T20 cricket, why are you not running your arse off for the last delivery of your innings of the super over?
Well, I suppose
if you get out, it doesn't make any difference.
If you get out and it goes to a second super over, Ross, then you can't bat. And you have to send out Mohammed Nabi instead.
It's just so frustrating.
I don't think that's where it was lost. Fans. To be fair, I don't think not going for that second run is where they lost.
No, it's those small bits that make a difference, right? I think, but I'm sad for the people who support Afghanistan. Look, some of our right wing kind of people are going to be rejoiced that the Taliban have taken a loss here, but that is what it is. I'm gutted for Rashid Khan, Mujib, and Noor Ahmed, all of whom should have bowled that super over instead of Omarzai. And ultimately, people turn around at the moment and saying, "Oh, Jonathan Trott should be considered for the next England job." Like, he's in charge of a circus, and he's not doing kind of what he needs to do and bring that straight. So, I'm not entirely sure and convinced by that right now.
Well, they have come on leaps and bounds, and I think they deserve to win this game.
But like with Tottenham Hotspur, they didn't.
They didn't. I don't think Spurs ever deserved to win a game though, so that's slightly.
No, we just continue to do stupid shit and lose games of cricket. You lose games of football is what I was trying to
it is a shame. It's a shame. I mean, there was so much. I tell you what, the last thing on this, what I think is super unfair is that this game has basically been tied, gone to 2 super overs, and Afghanistan gets 0 points. Like, I feel like if a group game goes to a super over, I think you should get maybe like a point each and then a bonus point for winning the super over, because ultimately it's a bit silly, isn't it? But yeah, Afghanistan, they blew it. They blew it multiple times, and South Africa also blew it, but not as many times. and as a result, South Africa wins.
Robaldo's got a bit of a no ball problem.
Yeah, he does. Maybe he shouldn't be bowling at the death. Yeah, crazy game. And
there was one other game today, wasn't there? And then the Australians finally came into town.
They did, and also there was some novelty in that game as well, wasn't there? Because 2 super overs was pretty exciting, and hot off the news of 2 super overs, we hear that Mitch Marsh was unavailable for the first game due to testicular bleeding, which I've not heard before as an injury report card. But it doesn't sound nice. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But it didn't matter, Ross, because in Colombo, Australia, although it looks like Ireland kind of had them in a little bit of bother, you have to remember that the scores in Colombo are probably not representative of the scores elsewhere in this tournament. So 182 for 6 that Australia ended up on. Pretty sizable. And so it showed when Ireland were quite quickly reduced to 27 for 4, which was effectively 27 for 5 because Paul Sterling retired hurt after pulling up running the first ball of the Ireland innings. So that pretty much spelt the end. I would say credit to Ireland for still giving it a go after losing all those wickets. They didn't just try and play out the rest of the overs and make it to 20. They kept swinging. George Dockrell batted nicely for 41. But yeah, it was bad. Nathan Ellis ripped through the top order with an array of slower balls, which was pretty impressive. Adam Zampa took 4 wickets as well. And it was, very, very, very one-sided, this one. And Australia got off to a pretty good start.
You talked about that in the preview, right? Of like who was actually going to turn up from them from a bowling perspective. And Adam Zampa is so key to what they're doing. Like if Adam Zampa's not there, like you've got some of them bowled today, right? But they're not
fairly middling names.
Yes. So, but quite good scoring on Scrabble. Like in Xavier Bartlett, that's a pretty good.
Yeah, Matthew Kuhneman's probably worth a few points as well.
So, but yeah, it was again. It's one of those games that it's disappointing for Ireland that they've not really done themselves any justice. In the first game, they fluffed their lines, dropped plenty of catches. This one, again, it's just a little bit embarrassing. I think it is unfortunate, but Australia are a fantastic side, right? They've won the competition. They've actually got some of the best players in the world. They were always going to be one thing too many for them. But a good day of cricket, I thought, Max, for the World Cup. And overall, I think it's kind of right. It started off really hot. It's kind of like up on like a roller coaster. Then it was down for a day. Now it's back up again. So tomorrow is going to be a bit of a dud, probably. But, you know.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of duds, there are 6 other games that we haven't covered in any sort of detail, and we won't. But I'll pick out a few things that happened from those. New Zealand beat the UAE by 10 wickets. UAE
Tim Seifert,
right,
yeah.
got
Tim's
173. You think if they're getting 173 against New Zealand, it's probably a road, and it was. Yeah. Tim Seifert, 89 or 42. He obviously heard our preview and had enough of us saying that he's not up to much, and has come to show us all we're wrong. So
for a long time, he wasn't up to much, right? I think that is a fair comment, right? But then in the last kind of 12 months or so, Tim Seifert has gone to a
late bloomer.
So, like Darren Huckabee, got some niche football reference, bloody hell.
My God. What else has happened? South Africa, they dispatched Canada. They played twice in the space of a few days, haven't they, South Africa? But they dispatched Canada without too much trouble. Netherlands overcame Namibia fairly handedly. So that's your Namibian boys, Ross. Yeah. Not quite living up to your pre-tournament hype.
They missed David Visa. That's what I've decided.
You would, wouldn't you? You would miss someone that good.
Pakistan, though, Max. Like, let's be fair to Pakistan. They have pulled away from the boycott, so they will be playing against India.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about that. That happened.
They beat the USA. They beat the Netherlands. Like Pakistan, they're going through, baby. They're going through.
They are going through. So what do you make of the fact the unboycotting? It's interesting, isn't it? They had a chat with Bangladesh and the ICC. Bangladesh released a really weird statement that definitely hadn't been written for them about the whole affair, and they've been promised not to be punished. I don't know what will have been told to Pakistan behind the scenes, but we get to see Pakistan India, so at least we do get to see that game. It's always good value, isn't it? So that's good for the tournament, I suppose.
I think actually Pakistan played a bit of a blinder, really.
Yeah.
Like you can laugh at Pakistan kind of being a bit of a lottery team, but they've stood up for what they generally thought was the right thing to do. They know that Jay Shah's kind of leading both BCCI and ICC, and it's the marquee event, right? You can't turn around and say, regardless of if you've got it every 18, 24 months, like it's still the thing that everybody is watching from a cricketing perspective. Having the news of that would be like, that is the World Cup where Pakistan refused to play against India. And that's what it will be remembered for, regardless of who wins and all this kind of stuff. It will be remembered for that. They've already kicked out Bangladesh for it, so it's already got kind of a black mark against it. And if India do win it, there'll be another asterisk against it. Wink. But there is a big bit here where I think they try to do the right thing. There is definitely money, backhanders, Rolex watches, that kind of shit that's happening
changing hands
on Minecraft. But I just think that there is a real murky undertone to most international sports anyway. I don't think cricket is above that at all.
No, but I think cricket's possibly one of the sports where that murky undertone is the most in full view. I think that's the problem that cricket has. Like, we all know what's going on in FIFA and what backhanders Gianni Infantino is accepting, probably like 15 pairs of white trainers. But with cricket, they don't even pretend, do they? They just show you that it's all happening. So it's all a bit. Yeah, all a bit sordid, but I'm glad it's been resolved. That is good for the
and also, before we kind of get pelters kind of in the kind of below the line kind of chat on YouTube, is that England aren't kind of away from that either, right? Just look back kind of 15 years to when Alan Stanford was kind of in the mix and all that kind of stuff, that shenanigans that was happening, right? So yeah, there is so much murkiness that then everybody's kind of covered by the splat of that murk. But I think Pakistan actually did the right thing. They probably got a good deal out of it, of the end of it, and they stood up for what was right. And I think that's a fantastic thing to do. And wouldn't it be great if some of the other teams actually stood up against some of these other bigger nations where there are better things on the line for everybody else? So, yeah, that collective responsibility, well done.
Collective action.
But I think a decent World Cup so far. I'm glad the games on all kind of absolute drubbings and that kind of stuff. I think it's great that like we're seeing some of the bigger nations lose games as well, and it only sets up kind of hopefully some not dead rubbers by the end of kind of this group stage, which it always kind of threatens to do. So, yeah, England versus Scotland has a bunch more meaning now. So,
well, I don't know if you saw, we got an email to the podcast on that.
We got an email.
We got an email. We haven't had an email for a while, have we? But no, we had an email from Joey Vinsanti in Aberdeen. He was letting us know that when England play Scotland in the World Cup in Kolkata, formerly known as Calcutta, England will also be playing Scotland in the Six Nations in the Calcutta Cup, which is a lovely little coincidence and twist of fate, which I quite enjoyed. So thank you for sending that in and sharing that with us. England, Scotland. England, their tournament could be on the line in that game. Who knows? But yeah, I think if there's one thing this tournament is missing so far, which not a huge amount, it's missing because we've had controversy from the very, very beginning and disagreements. We've had close games. We've had a double super over. We haven't had an upset yet. So we need an upset and we need it soon. But hopefully we'll see that in the not too distant future. I don't know who would be the most likely, but I reckon Nepal, West Indies could still be a shout, given their attempts against England. I don't see who else really is going to be doing that though. Netherlands, India, not sure, but fingers crossed.
Indeed. I've already got some bits of like, why have you not done your research in the chat? It's just like, we've done our research, mate. I wouldn't worry too much about it. And Jack is on a train, so that's why he's not around. Thank you ever so much for listening to the podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. As always, go to patreon.com/the cricket pod to get involved in all of our Discord chats. It's kicking off at the moment because of the World Cup. And no doubt, Max will probably be asked on the radio at some point, and you'll be doing something.
Stitched up again.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.